Hello, welcome back to Primo Calcio. I'm Michael with Anthony, as always, and we are going to be covering some transfer news, some Club World Cup action, and just discussing a little bit of the happenings of the past week. How's it going, Anth?
It's going great. It's been a week of family and fun, and I haven't really been too concerned with the Club World Cup other than a couple fun little things. I'm taking from it what I want to.
Yeah, I mean, I have not been very invested. I think that in general, people have not been very invested. Stands still seem kind of empty, but there's a couple cool things happening there, which we can touch on. Maybe we'll start with the Club World Cup and kind of move on from there. Um, Something that is kind of notable is some of the older guys that are still looking good. Guys like Messi, Suarez, Busquets. I mean, I know that Inter Miami is not a fantastic team, but and they obviously just went out relatively big, but they had a pretty good showing. I think it was not sure if you've seen any of it, but it was nice to see some good class on the field from those dudes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for the old guys always. Because it's there's a very clear gap between their ability level and all these new players. If they just could have more than just three players on that team, I think they'd be doing a little bit better. They did get matched up with PSG too, but
Yeah,
that's always tough. But
yeah, probably
PSG's
the
pretty
best
hot
current
right now.
team. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Form wise, for
they're running
sure.
hot.
hmm
Yeah.
Speaking of older guys and whatnot, Thiago Silva. We just shot
Ah,
off of Inter leaving, which we'll kind of break down next year, going into that. But just before that, as a Milan fan, he's been one of my favorite players ever to watch. It's just nice to see a dude that he's still being that great because he just has that much class. Did you see any of the that game?
yeah, I watched. All the second and a bit of the first. I think we were talking a little bit before this started. My favorite thing about that game and what actually kept me invested was watching Thiago Silva absolutely work everybody at 40 years old. And it just shows the difference in class from then and now. I think we talked about it on our previous
One
cast,
thousand percent.
but it was beautiful to see.
Yeah, 1000%. Let me give a little bit of the history going into it. So, Thiago Silva, obviously, what he made his name, his big international name at Milan. But he came into Milan back when Milan was actually a powerhouse, right? He came in back when they had Maldini, Nesta, and those guys, and he actually signed on early, 6 months early, um, to actually go and just learn before he actually got the start. He transferred in 6 months early, but he got to learn from Maldini, from Nesta, from those guys, and that made a massive change. And he actually did come from Fluminense, so he came from there. He returned back, and all that class. I mean, an amazing career: Milan, PSG, Chelsea, a winner. Always and a captain, and it's very nice to see somebody with that much pedigree still looking amazing, just because he's simply better. And it was really cool to see.
Well, and truly, I think we all. This is also something we talked about in the last cast. Is there really aren't world class defenders out there? So even though he's 40 and should be past it, it's nice actually seeing a world class defender for a change. It's been a long time.
Oh, 100%. No, he's definitely world class. We give that word a lot of flack on this cast because I think both of us truly don't think that world class people are prematurely labeled world class if they won one season. And I think that that's a bit premature. I think you have to have a few seasons right up by the top to really be a world class player. Silva is and has been a world player for.
Yeah, I mean he's actually a world class player. Like if you want to see a proper defending, what world class defending looks like, that game was a good display of that. And I don't see that out of anybody in the in the current generation. I really don't.
No, it is nice too that like they just lock down the game. Like a lot of these Brazilian teams, strangely enough, like you know Brazilian teams for having a lot of flair in the past, but they've been getting a goal, and once they've been getting their goal, they've been sitting back and almost playing like a Catenaccio style. It's been kind of unique to watch. They've been locking it down for the most part, and it's been pretty cool to watch. And it's nice to see a team that, for us, we like to see a lot of nationality on teams. And most of these Brazilian teams are playing a ton of actual Brazilian players. I think we looked through it. Fluminense was running 7 Brazilian players on their starting lineup, and I believe all 4 of their subs they used were. That's just awesome. I mean, it just goes to show that having a lot of belief, having a good coach who I do like their coach. I mean, he ran very well today. I don't know. Having that is enough, and that's been cool to see. I hope they're able to pull through. I'm definitely pulling for the Brazilian teams because they represent a lot of the values that we enjoy? Are you kind of feeling the same about who you want to pull it through in the World Cup or the
Oh,
Club World Cup?
yeah, absolutely. They have a fraction of the budget of the teams they're going up against, and they're hanging in there because their teams have culture and identity, and they have, and it's aged class, but it's class nonetheless. So, one or two classy players that have been around, and a bunch of nationalized players that give a crap if their team actually is successful or not. It's a shocker. Can you imagine if there was other clubs that did that same thing?
Yeah, I think the game would be a lot more beautiful too. I think it would mean more. Like I'm right now currently as we're casting, we're Man City's playing against was it Al Hilal,
Oh,
and
hello.
right now I mean like Man City is just a team that basically just buys the best of the best because they had the budget. I mean, I think the only English player they're running actively right now is Phil Foden. They just subbed him on. I mean, it's maybe that there's somebody else. I don't know the exact lineup right now, but I mean that's bad. Like it's to me,
No, it's
I
just
know the Man City fans probably like it because their team is actually good, but like, what does it mean? It just means that you can buy the best. But do any of these guys actually have any Man City running through their veins? Their starting lineup was Holland, Doku, Savio, Bernardo Silva, Reinders, Gundogan, Gvardiol, Diaz, Ederson, Nunez, and Ait Nouri. Literally zero Englishmen, zero even Brits on
it's
that whole
this.
team. Like, how do British people support that stuff just because they win? Like, that doesn't
Well,
mean
it's
anything
been
about them.
like that in England for a long time though. Like they were the ones who started this crap, and the other leagues held fort, and then it got, there's a lot of media behind it and everything, and they're the most watched league. So I think other leagues felt the pressure, and obeyed. But yeah, it's been like that for a while. So the fans have been conditioned,
Oh,
and
it had
we're
belong.
some of the last. Yeah, we're the pearl clutchers, as they say, who still want the game to mean something.
Yeah,
But I suppose it doesn't matter as long as your jersey wins.
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. What does it mean? Like Man City is. I mean, what are their jerseys right now? Don't even look like anything that related to the Man City colors. Doesn't matter though. They just run whatever, and it's fine as long
Yeah,
as
you
they
know what?
win. That's all that matters. Sell
People are
some
going to buy that
jerseys.
jersey.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. People are going to
It
buy
looks
that
good.
jersey.
It looks good.
They're gonna buy that swag, and that's all that matters. Dude. They're gonna
Yeah.
get their swag. They're gonna get their delights.
I mean, if you look at
It's
it, their whole
ridiculous.
starting lineup is foreign. Their coach is obviously Pep is foreign. He's not English, and they're foreign owned. So I mean, like, there's nothing English about that. There's nothing English about that team. They play in the English league. There's nothing English about that team. So when your team wins, I English, I don't know how they can be proud of that. There's
No,
nothing
I
English about it. They don't play an English style. They don't have any English blood there besides Phil Foden.
no. It's gone are the days when teams actually played differently than one another. It's all the same. And it's a shame, and that's kind of why I like this. I like seeing the Brazilian teams perform the way they are, because if you just have some passion and some culture, you can overachieve. And if I think where our teams are at, Juventus and Milan, if we would have spent our money differently, we could absolutely have been there.
Yeah,
I don't see how we couldn't have been. I mean, I think we spoke. I think it was on the Italy podcast. We were talking about the national team, but the ceiling isn't that high. These teams aren't A+ teams; they're B+ teams. Our teams are maybe B-, C+. We don't have that far to go.
no,
It's
there's
just a
not. If you
matter
get
of
a
culture.
couple top class players there and a strong culture, that it's just good enough.
Yeah, I mean,
Especially
you
these
see what
days.
Miami can do. I mean, Miami's gone just as far as Juventus has, with just three decent players on their team, or three, aged class
Three
players.
past it, but class
Yeah,
players, yeah.
yeah.
So
I
they're
mean, the
not
rest of the
anywhere
team's
near their
nothing
prime,
to.
right?
Yeah, I
No,
mean,
there's nobody else who's like amazing on their team.
yeah, it's wild. So
So speaking
that's my
of this
takeaway.
stuff, Inter going out, I think they looked bad. I think maybe I'm wrong. I think Inter's going to struggle a little bit. I think that I mean, Kivu may be able to do something with them. I think that Inzaghi was a very consistent, always going to battle for the Scudetto coach. Kivu, he does, he has some in Inter history. Yeah, I don't think he's got some years to learn. He does know the club well. I think he did their youth sector for a bit, so he does know some of those guys, but think they're going to struggle, and I don't love their new signings. I didn't see Carboni play the game prior, but what I did see from him, he looked pretty lanky. He did not look very very controlled on the ball, very very composed. He definitely looked like he just couldn't get the ball out from underneath his feet half the time. And who's your other new signing? Luis Enrique. He looked very sloppy too. I think Inter's signings aren't great. Çalhanoğlu has been rumored to leave and maybe go to Galatasaray, which would be a massive loss for them because the downgrade from him to Aslani is enormous. And if Aslani goes to Fiorentina, like that's rumored, you don't even have somebody in that role anymore. So I don't know. I mean, I think Inter's going to struggle a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like if Napoli stays consistent, they're the really really hot favorites to continue and to win the Scudetto again.
Well, I mean, Napoli has the best coach. I think in the world that's definitely arguable, but there's certainly no argument about him being the best coach in Serie A. They also have a team coming off a Scudetto, and they have a solid core of character players that are there. So
Yeah.
I think absolutely, if they do the right things in the transfer market, they can take their next step. And Conte's not an idiot. I mean, he obviously he knows where at the end of the mercato, he's going to know if his team can compete in multiple levels. And I don't think they're going to sign enough people to do that. So he's going to focus on the Scudetto again, and he's going to probably win the Scudetto again because I don't see our clubs doing anything to really take any steps
Yeah, I
forward.
don't think they're going to compete on the
Yeah.
fronts, right?
No, yeah, I don't. I mean, I mean, he beat Inter last year, and Inter, that was their year to really make or break it. I think their team's going to be breaking apart a little bit, and the reason they brought in Kivu is because he's got to bring up some of those young players. And
Yeah.
so far, I mean, Aslani hasn't looked one lick better than he ever was. I mean, I don't think he's a very good player. I think Carbone has some skill. The game prior to this one, he definitely has some technique, but he's not a very athletic person in general. So I mean, you don't need to be in this sport, but you got to really lean on your technical ability if that's the
Yeah.
case.
Yep. I mean,
I think he needs to change the formation, the tactical setup. I think that it's needed. I think Conte and Inzaghi had very specific ideas on how they wanted to play, and I think Kivu needs to kind of. I think he needs a shift because Darmian is. I really like Darmian. I thought he was a big game player. He's an excellent player for a long time. I think he's done. Same with the Cherby. I think he's done.
yeah.
So they got to figure that out.
Those guys have been fantastic for Inter for sure, especially a Cherby. But I mean, I agree. I think that they're done, and we like both those guys. But speaking of that, I think Inter and it's a team that I've traditionally with all just with who they are, uh, never been a fan of course, especially with being both Milan and Juve fans. But over the past few years, I haven't had that same hatred and vitriol towards them because they're one of the only people carrying the flag, which is incredibly rare for Inter given their history. However, as is always, and something that Marotta tends to do over time, is they're getting less and less Italian, right? I mean, at some point, Acerbi and Darmian are going to go. They're going to be left with basically Barella, DiMarco, and Bastoni. I think that's going to be it. And I bet you Inter just carries those, which would be very much more like a traditional Inter. They usually had like maybe 2 Italians on their team, and I'm okay with that because then I can go back to not caring what they do and basically be like basically it would be nice to feel that way again because it's been unique being like I guess I don't really care about Inter anymore. They can win. I don't hate it now, and it'd be nice to have that back. However, I don't have my team doing anything, so it's like, what do we really have besides Napoli, in my
Our
opinion,
teams
right?
are still worse in
Yeah,
terms of national representation and results. Yeah, obviously.
yeah,
Yeah,
and Inter's gonna be
shocking.
going down in that too, so they're not really gonna be a great representation of Italy. So it's really Napoli for me. The
Yeah. No,
Italianization
it's
of
Napoli.
Milan
Yeah.
does not appear to be happening. We'll talk about that in a second with the transfers, but it's Napoli. So
Yeah, no, I agree. I love the way they play. I like their roster. They bring in Marianucci, possibly Lucca here. Those are players
yeah.
that are actually going to see playing time and serve a purpose. So yeah, I mean, I wish our teams were in that spot. I certainly wish Juve was in that spot.
Well, I'm guessing we're kind of talking about. We'll wrap up Club World Cup. There's not much more to say about it. We'll see what happens here. Definitely, both pulling for the Brazilian teams. They're fighting hard, and I would just like to see a
Yeah,
team that doesn't make a ton of cash actually win the massive prize pot at the end of this, rather than like a Man City who doesn't need it, rather than a PSG who
it's going to
doesn't
be
need it.
PSG.
I mean, I just don't want to see that. But
PSG is red hot right now. The European teams look disinterested besides them, and the Brazilian teams, although they're playing their hearts out, and it's amazing to watch. I don't think they have the ability to overcome it. And I think we're seeing right now in this game here, Al Hilal and Man City are tied up in the second half of extra time here, and it's Man City. With all their skill and ability, it just takes one chance. That's $1 billion team versus a team that's making cost a fraction of that. So it would be amazing to see the Al Hilal pull it off, but the chips are stacked against him when you have that expensive.
We'll see. They just
roster.
gotta hold out for 9 more minutes, and then it's penalties. And I mean, hey, penalties
Yeah,
is
that's
a
true.
total crapshoot. So
I hate ending a game like that. Just make these guys keep playing. I don't understand this penalty thing.
yeah, I mean, it's
Give them
definitely
an
less and
extra
less
sub or
interesting.
something. Yeah, it's a horrible way to end a game. It really is. It's such a cop out.
Let's.
That's a hot take.
That's your fresh take. Let's
That's
roll
that's
on to
yeah.
Serie A. Talk about some of the transfers in, out, away, some of the rumors. Let's start with a couple of the leaving rumors, which were
Yeah.
kind of like just on this in the same vein as we were seeing with Coppola going away and stuff like that. Oh wow, is that a goal? Maybe. All right, so maybe Al Hilal just got this one. I think so. Who do you know?
Oh man.
But hey,
Wow.
there you go.
Big news. You heard it here first.
There you go, guys.
On Primo Calcio.
But you're gonna hear it tomorrow morning. So
Oh yeah.
semi
Well,
live. Yeah.
you can live it live with us. This is the level of excitement we achieve in 2025 watching the sport. Major upset might be just happening, and they got a couple wows. Yeah,
It'll be cool if they
he
can
took
hold
his
it. But
shirt
hey,
off.
yeah, there
He
you
took his
go.
shirt
Yeah,
off.
that's what when I get excited, I take my shirt off. That's usually what I do.
It doesn't even cross my mind. What do these guys take
Yeah.
their shirts off for?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Jeez.
Anyways,
God.
let's pull it back to Serie A. So leaving, Ruggeri is now linked with leaving. And I mean, what do you think about that? I really think these guys need to stay here.
Oh, of course, good enough for Atletico, not good enough for any other Serie A team. Brilliant, I love it. You know what I think? They should just all leave. Let this league just hit the toilet, and then I don't have to worry about it anymore because this is pissing me off so much. And there seems to be zero concern whatsoever and zero national pride from our own clubs. And this is also what happens when you sell all your clubs off. So
it's 100% happening. Yeah. So Ruggeri looks like about 20-ish million. It looks like so somewhere around there, and it should be completed tomorrow. And it's basically a done deal. So he'd go to Atletico Madrid, who is a much better team than what we call Atalanta. And yet, yeah, is right. He's good enough for them, but not good enough for any of the big teams here.
Wasn't even on anyone's radar as a link.
And he's been super solid, very, very, very consistent. Yeah. And if you talk about the national team, like this is a guy who should be playing. That being said, maybe he'll actually get some notoriety playing overseas. At this point, like playing here, the FIGC has done such a bad job at managing Serie A, and I don't know. Serie A has been so poorly run that we're just getting awful TV deals, awful infrastructure, that it's just dragging down their own country, and you're starting to see it now. These players are leaving who should not be leaving. Tonali left, who's like your biggest new star of the past few years, right? Ruggeri, Calafiori, who was like yeah, exactly. He exploded, gone. And now on top of that, yes,
it was a big deal. He left.
Leone now. So this is somebody who we've been following a bit because our teams are linked with them, especially Milan. That's been like his strongest link. Said Allegri wants him. Now his price keeps going up and up, and then just recently today was saying that, well, hey, there's some foreign interest in Leone. That to me means he's gone. That to me means he's not staying. So if he's anywhere 20 mil plus, which looks like he'll be somewhere between 20 and 30. Once a foreign club comes in, they're going to sell across because they're going to get a little more for it. And even if it's 2 mil more, they're selling abroad. Guaranteed.
Yep. This is why I think we talked about last time. You have to incentivize the teams by doing like the opposite of the growth decree. Call it the shrinkage decree. You have to give tax breaks for hiring your own people. You have to have your own domestic workers working for your club. It's the only way to incentivize these teams to do it. They don't care. They have zero national pride, zero concern whatsoever. Half the what's it, like 75% of the teams now are owned by foreign entities anyways, and all they care about is shareholders. So the only way you're going to get any sort of semblance of a team that means anything is if you incentivize their bottom line. So Yeah, it's we're just going to see more and more of it because Italian teams can't afford to keep players. They have to all be selling clubs now because our TV deals are so bad, and the FIFA fair trade garbage has really. I mean, that's really what screwed it all over. With the revenue versus expenses. I mean, that's really it just grandfathered in the English clubs to be able to do what they're doing and screwed over any mid to small clubs in terms of cash.
Oh. No, it's rough, man. It's rough seeing this, and yeah, infrastructure is needed to be changed. I think we are very very firm on this because otherwise, I don't see this boding well for the country as a whole. And I think that you're just going to continue to see the national team struggle when stuff like this happens. So I think that it bleeds into that. It bleeds into everything. It bleeds into your national pride, everything. So it does have to change at a systematic level. So hey, hopefully we
Yeah,
can we can push something forward, and maybe there's a small movement that will start. Because if it continues like this league is a goner.
oh, I think it's just about there. The good news is though, and I think I said it earlier, there's not a very big. It's not a big mountain to climb. It's more like a hill. So we're not trying to
Yes.
go to
Yep.
an A+ level. We're just trying to get to B+ level. These other teams aren't that good. And you can see right now, Man City's down to Al Hilal.
It
It's
would
totally
literally just
possible.
take like a year or two of true development and actually caring, and then
Yeah,
it would be a rough couple years, and then boom, I guarantee they'd be back. I mean, I don't
I
think it's
totally
that
agree.
hard. You just gotta be willing to
Yeah.
put up with it and make a change. Some more kind of not necessarily like that was more to start off a little more negative. Now kind of some positive and just some in general news. So Pazzini to Fiorentina. Fiorentina is a very busy place right now because Palladino just up and left, and the position's still vacant. So the hot name out is going to be Stefano Pioli. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't know. I'm really disappointed about Palladino leaving because Palladino had said in interviews, and he proved it with his squad selection and all that good stuff. He is committed to young Italian talents. Pioli couldn't care less. Those kids, those young Italian kids, aren't going to play under Pioli. Simple as that. So from that perspective, which is what I care the most about, because we just spent
Yep.
about 30 minutes talking about it, it's a bad thing. But is it good for Fiorentina? I mean, he's an accomplished coach. He knows what he's doing. He's okay tactically. He's players like him, and that seems to be the most important thing in 2025 because they're all hypersensitive now and have feelings and stuff. So he's a good guy for that. So he'll come in and he'll bring some stability, and they'll perform just fine.
Yeah, I think in a purely objective sense, he's going to be a good coach for them. I feel like Pioli is like a top four or close to top four style manager. I don't think he's. I mean, yes, he did win a Scudetto with Milan, but I don't think that's really his true level. Everything kind of caught fire then. I think he's more of a like, hey, let's battle for Europa League. Let's maybe try to get in a top four type manager. So quality wise, yeah, he's going to be fine for Fiorentina's current level. If not like an overall just like minor upgrade as far as historical success for him. That being said, yes, I do agree that Palladino, as far as what we like, and that strong Italian core that they're building at Fiorentina, it's not going to be as strong. That being said, they have so many Italian players there that Pioli's going to be having to play most of them, and that's
Yeah,
their best players too. Guys like
he'll have to play
Fagioli,
some of them.
Mondragora, Keane. Like I mean, it's going to happen. But we'll see what
Well,
happens
Keane
with
might be
them.
on Keane might be going. So Keane is being linked with Man United and some
Yeah,
other clubs. So I think Keane's going to get sold.
I think he's
But
gone. Yeah, I think
yeah,
he's going to reach
yeah,
50 plus mil, and truthfully, he should sell for way more than that, but Serie A takes really, really cheap offers because they're just seen as like a beggars club and they act like it now.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, even like the Reinders sale. I mean, that's like it's probably like your who you'd consider the best midfielder in Serie A, or I mean, like, and even though like Barella's more complete,
He's in the
that's who
argument.
was there, right?
Yeah,
He is at least
yeah,
there,
yeah.
right? And you sell that for I forget the exact fee, but it was pretty dang cheap, like 55 mil plus bonuses. So it's
Yeah.
either way, like
No, they
guys
they
like
know.
Saicedo are going for 100 and something mil like after one decent season from nowhere. It's just
Well, the problem is these clubs know we're not big clubs anymore. So we're desperate. We need money. They know that we have to we use that as the majority of our revenue. So I mean they know it's all in the it's in the foundation of the FIFA fair trade garbage. So
yeah.
we can say whatever we want, but in the end when it comes down to the negotiating table, the truth is the truth, and they're going to take advantage of it because they can. That's how it's built.
There is a unique thing where, like, like Sheikh Mansour, who's the Man City, he invested some like massive amount into Redbird. So like there is something worth, like, maybe that's the reason why he was sold technically on like this day and age considered to be cheap. So because
Yeah,
there's some investments happening, so maybe he was kind of working a deal with his buddy, said, okay, we'll
sure.
give you for this price. There's just so much inner stuff happening in the game right now that
Yeah.
not great, but
The concern is, and what I was talking about, is it really is at a point right now, at the point of no return. Like we're never gonna get our game back unless people start demanding some semblance of culture at their clubs. It's unfortunately, I don't think there's enough people that care, but
no,
yeah,
no.
Italian clubs are in the dirt right now, and the biggest issue is their willingness to just offload their young talents and not actually build for the future. Just take money whenever they can get it, offload, and bring in some random mercenary to fill the slot.
Yeah, that has me worried about Fiorentina, because it's a team who, we're like, hey, they're actually building something awesome here, and it represents a lot of our views. I really want to see how this plays out over a couple of years. You keep Paladino, let him grow, because he's growing as a manager too, and so you have that,
Yeah,
him growing, the youth growing. I mean, it could really be something special. We're not even going to get to see that now. Like I said, Pioli will do well, but he's not. He doesn't have the same views and honestly, I think that Paladino has actually more of a tactical prowess
he
than
does. Yeah,
Pioli. He's learning, he's getting better, he's changing things. Pioli is going to do one thing. He's going to try to force through a 4-2-3-1 if he can, regardless of if it fits, and that's just going to be that. The other signings there, he wants to bring in Aslani and Calabres, who's recently linked. I think that if you're running a 4-2-3-1, Calabria is a good right back. He's not going to be a good wing back, but he'll be stable there. He knows him well. Aslani is, in the past, I would have said is okay for Fiorentina level, but I think Fiorentina is trying to upgrade. I don't think Aslani is going to do that. He's like a mid-table starter in my opinion.
yeah. I don't think he's very good at all. He's been on on an Inter team that was loaded with talent, that were red hot, playing well, and he couldn't perform. He had a ton of good examples around him, good top class players, and he couldn't get the job done. And he had a ton of opportunities to do so. So I may be wrong about Aslani. There's always a chance that
Yeah,
he'll have a
but
miracles resurgence somewhere else. I just don't see the athleticism, the vision or the skill that you would need to see from a guy that should be on a starter, even on a team like Fiorentina. I mean, I don't think I wouldn't put him over Fagioli and Mandragora, and
no,
absolutely not.
I wouldn't either. And I mean, honestly, like they had a guy we always talk about. They had Amrabat there, and Amrabat was very, very solid. Plays a true D mid. If they just had a guy like that there added on with their other midfielders, I think they'd have a very complete, thorough midfielder. They do miss that true stay-at-home D mid who can just like break up plays and coordinate. If Fiorentina had that, their midfield's great. They're maybe thinking
Amrabat was
Aslani
an
can do
excellent
that.
player.
Agreed. And he actually could tackle. Aslani is not going to be
Yeah,
that guy. He positionally plays there, but I don't think he has the quality. So I don't love that signing. I think the Clubber one's good. It's not going to really move the needle at all for them, but um,
no.
yeah, I don't
Who
know.
knows if they'll even pull that off? I mean, I think it'd be a huge mistake for them, but what do I know?
They did get Fazzini, who's somebody I'm interested in seeing how he turns out.
Yeah,
Talented player. We'll see. I like that signing. That would kind of fall in line with Fiorentina's old strategy under Palladino, but we'll see. Um,
yeah.
let's move off. Then we'll move on to Napoli. Napoli has a couple links, a lot of links actually. So we talked about Dan Ando last time. Now the next big rumor is Darwin Núñez, who's been linked with mainly Napoli or Milan. I don't think Milan's gonna go get him. They've already got Santi Jimenez, but Napoli's a very, very strong link. What do you think about Núñez to Napoli?
Well, I think that deal, it depends a lot on the Luca deal. I think that Luca is someone they've been talking with prior to, because I think that they can get a unique player that's an excellent point man in Luca for cheaper. But Udinese is bumping their price up because this is what happens. These small clubs to mid-table clubs get an offer, they bump their price up, and then the EPL steps in and scoops them up. So if that continues to happen, then Luca will probably go somewhere else, and then they'll go for Nunez. But they're willing to pay more for Nunez, I believe, than they are for Luca. As a player, I like Nunez a lot. I think him under Conti would be terrific. I think he's athletic, busts his ass, and I think he'll put the ball in the net more than he was, because I think under a coach like that, in a system like that, I think he'll get some big goals. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're gonna basically see if they can get Nunez for like a more reasonable fee, and if they can't, they're gonna move on to Luca. That's I think they're gonna be the prayer to say,
Okay.
hey, if we can get Nunez for something that we're willing to pay, then sure. But if Liverpool stays firm on their asking price and they can't drop it down by 5 or so mil, then I think Napoli's gonna say no, and they're gonna go for Luca. Luca now is gonna be going for 30 plus mil, which initially before or mid season he was like 15, 16, which I think is I thought teams should have snapped him up in mid season and got him for 20 or less, but now they waited and now there's this whole bidding and now he's gonna go up to 30, so we'll see. So I mean Napoli could do it. He's a good signing. Is he a 30 mil striker? No, but what player really is? So I think that it's fine. And I'd be okay with them getting either. I think Nunez, with his criticisms, I don't I'm not as negative as a lot of people are on him. Right? I don't think he's
Oh,
as he does everything well as you're saying. He to me he's like a poor man's Cavani. Cavani was even excellent at burying, which Nunez is not. But he works hard. He links up well with the play. He's a good athlete. He physically can use his body well. He has good strength because he's athletic. He's fast. Like so, he has every skill you possibly need. He's not even old yet. So I mean, he's definitely could be a primo striker if under the right coach. And Conte, I think he's gonna do great with a guy like that. But we'll see what the
yeah,
price is. If it's too high, Luca's a great second option, and I think he's gonna learn a lot from Lukaku and Conte and do great.
yeah. I think Luca has a lot of potential. I'd like to see him make a serious move, go to a serious club where he can grow and compete for some serious trophies where he's actually under pressure to win big games. I think that's what makes or breaks these players is how once they start getting into big games. Sometimes it takes a couple of years for them to get ready for it, and some guys are just born gamers. So I'd like to see how he performs in those situations.
Yeah, I mean it's good for the national team too because I feel like he's going to progress well
Yeah.
under Conte, and he's
Oh,
one of
big
the
time.
guys who's like that kind of second tier of striker that we're building up because Keane and Retegui obviously are your main ones, but Luca's that very next one who's like your first sub, and so it would be nice to have that actually grow and develop and maybe become something. So I
Yeah.
don't know. But yeah, so we'll see what happens there. They're also still linked with Chiesa. I don't know. I mean, I think that one is very very similar. It depends on Dan and Doy's deal, very much like the Nunez one. So if the Dan and Doy deal breaks down or they charge too much, I think they will go for Chiesa. So that's to me a very very similar situation. Those are the big ones for Napoli. I'm nothing else massive is coming through right now, but that's what to watch. The next 2 days is what they say will be decisive for either Nunez going to Napoli or not. So we'll keep our eye out this week. That this should be the week for that move, either materialize or not.
Who's
Um,
next?
Juve, there's nothing going on, so there's not much to talk about
Yeah.
with Juve at this point.
No.
So we'll see how this develops, maybe after the Club World Cup, and see if they make some moves. We talked about Inter. Let's go to the last bigger club in there, Milan. So Milan did actually have some movement. Looks like Ricci is set to sign very very soon. So just a medical and then done. He got the here we go from Fabrizio Romano. So should basically be official, and the deal is way more reasonable than I thought. Usually, especially dealing with Urbano Cairo of Torino, he definitely jacks the price up. He ruined Andrea Bellotti's career back when he was a hot name and jacked his price up by an extra 40 mil, essentially scaring away every single buyer. And he faded away into nothingness after a few seasons. So Ricci actually made the move. 22 mil plus 3 mil bonuses. Everybody thought they were going to charge 30 to 35 plus for him after that. So I think it's very, very reasonable. You want to give your take and then I'll give mine on the Ricci signing?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can end on the Milan. The Milan guy. I think this is the first move where I think we see Tare really have an impact because the you know I really do believe that he is the reason that you were able to pick Ricci up for that price.
Yeah.
Tactically, I mean, we were talking about a little bit off cast. Milan still doesn't have a D mid. They have no cover for that poor defense. They really don't, and he doesn't do that. He's definitely better than Fofana at sitting deep like that, and Fofana can take on the Reinders role. But I mean, they need someone in the midfield who can actually tackle and he doesn't do that. He doesn't check that box, but he's a responsible ball distributor. I don't think his vision's incredible. He'll make a couple nice passes once in a while, but I like that Milan signed an actual Italian for a change. That's a shocker, and yeah, I think he's going to be there for a while. I think that's a good signing for Milan. He's someone that's going to be there for a long time, and that he you know what he does. He knows what he does. So there should be no confusion as to where he plays and what kind of players you need to put around him. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement. I think that the quality of the deal is definitely done by Tare. The final say of is if the finance goes through is obviously by Furlani. However, who structured it is gonna most likely be Tare, because the deals we got in the past several years have been not amazing, and then this one actually is much more reasonable than we thought we'd get it. So, yeah, as far as price goes, it's very low risk. He's very young. His value is going to retain. He's he's a national team player. He said he is a player who knows what he does. He has a certain role. He can play a nice, controlled, composed, calm regista role, and that's great. So positionally, Ricci is very sound and solid. He knows how to shield guys away. He does not tackle, which is the biggest issue, and that's something that you talked about. And Milan has not had an actual defensive mid-ball winner in a long time, since Tonali left and Kessie left. They have not replaced them the entire time Redbird's here. They have not replaced D-mid. He is halfway there. Positionally, he'll be there. Positionally, he'll shield guys away and slow down the attack. He's very much so in the right position when you watch him with Udinese, with Torino, when they play him as an actual D mid. Sometimes they play him as like the right center mid or left center mid, and I don't like that. When he's an actual D mid, he's very positionally sound, way more than anybody else we have. So that'll be a nice step up. However, he's not a ball winner at all. So I think that when you get a guy like Ricci, you really needed two people. I feel like you needed my choice would have been just spend what you need to spend. Go bring Tonali back, right? Bring it back home. But you needed those two guys. Those two guys either or Rovella plus Ricci, or just an actual ball winner like a Frendrick plus Ricci. Somebody's gonna bring the ball, win the ball, and then Ricci can calm it down, distribute.
Well, Ravella can win the ball, so I mean that would have been a better Regista signing. But I don't think Lazio's selling Ravella. I think what's his name, Latito just said he turned down a bunch of offers for
Yeah,
a bunch of
yeah.
players. So
Lotito's struggling, man. Lotito is really struggling right now. There's all that drama with Sarri, because he's like he can't make any moves, and he turned down a bunch of offers for to keep his whole team, which is respectable. But like they're really struggling due to the financial restrictions imposed on them. So Lazio's really struggling. But yeah, I mean, the Rovella would have been the guy. Like, if you want to have it all in one, that's your guy. Or you just sign two. I mean, you're going to run a three-man bid most likely.
yeah. I mean, they need a yeah. You can also get it done too with another box to box style player. You know that has high work rate. But so you do have what's his name? The was he Swiss or is he Albanian?
Which guy?
Jachka
Yeah. So Granite Xhaka you're
doesn't do
talking
that
about,
anymore. Yeah.
he definitely is a true state. If you ran like Ricci and Xhaka, that's fine. They both were going to stay at home. They're going to positionally be great. Xhaka's more of a ball winner. He that's fine. You can definitely do that. But I think there's been recently that says that there's no real big negotiation going on for him. Modric is not going to do that. He's going to be a nice smooth operator. He's still not a ball winner. The other link is with Ardon Yashari, I believe, from Brugge, and he's a really good player. I think he's more feisty for sure. I think he's a really good signing. I would just have liked to see an entire midfield revamp. I actually like most of those links. I would just like to see half the midfield gone. I don't want to see Loftus Cheek. I don't want to see Fofana. He could work as like a CM who does win the ball back, but his work rate is terrible. Musa has great work rate, but he just has lower quality. But he's going to be sold, I think. I don't know. I just would have wanted an entire midfield revamp. I like Jashari. I like Ricci. I like Modric. I would like to see an extra guy like a Rovella tonight, something like that in there that actually do a job. But
Yeah.
I don't think it really moves the needle too much for Milan. I think it is a step up positionally from what they have, but I don't think it's really going to move the needle too much. It's not going to cover their defense much more. Positionally, sure, but not actually in ball winning. So without a second signing there, who actually wins the ball back, I think that Milan's midfield improves a small bit.
Yeah, I think it's still a porous midfield, and it's sitting in front of a defense that really needs to be shielded
Yeah.
because they're very accident prone as well. So yeah, yeah, it's a problem, I think. But
But
hey,
hey, they
you
signed the
signed an
Italian.
Italian guy.
Yeah, he's going to be at
Hey,
the center of the project for a long time. Which
yeah,
actually, I'm not going to say that because if he has a good year, like a really good
yeah, they'll
year,
sell him.
they'll sell him right away. I mean, they sold Tanai, they sold Reinders. It's every year
Yeah,
we sell the best midfielder. So that's
yeah, that's
it's
true.
if he has
That's
a
true.
great year
Yeah,
and he explodes, he's gone. So
yep.
so yeah,
No, that's true.
yeah. Just don't get too attached, Milan fans. But yeah, it's a good signing. I'm happy. I did not expect them to actually sign any Italians. I thought that was going to just be smoke and mirrors. But the whole Italianization thing they were going to do, I think, is total BS because this is probably the only one they're going to sign.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
we've been doing that. We've been saying that for like 4 years now, and we've never done it. So
we're going to
it's
Italianize.
yeah,
Well, I don't see Chiesa here. You basically missed Leone back when he was cheap. Now there's no way they're going to spend on him. There's
yep,
no other links. So yeah, the whole Luca's gone now because he was linked way earlier. No, that's gone. So no, I don't see that happening. Orsolini's
yeah, I
gone.
agree.
I mean, we're not going to get him. There's no way. So,
Nope.
yeah, Milan's Italianization is going to be done, but I think it's a good signing. We'll see what else they do. Um, I think closing comments wise is basically what we just got to wait and see, right? There's some big things on the horizon, possibly, especially with Napoli. Milan has a ton of rumors and links right now, and only it's just very much starting to develop. Teo Hernandez still has to be sold, so there's a lot of stuff to do. We'll have a lot more updates as it comes. Give any kind of final things that we didn't discuss yet. I think I'm good for the
No,
time being, but it's up to you.
no, my team's not doing anything. So no,
Yeah, they're not doing anything, are they? They're basically
no,
just having like
completely
a debate with about like signing actually permanently signing Conceição or not, right?
yeah, no. We had the big news is yeah, Elkin offered his players 30K each if they can win tomorrow against Real Madrid. So he's now bribing the mercenaries. He's like putting, yeah, he's putting cash in their
That's
panties.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
I mean, what better way to bribe mercenaries than
It's
with money? That's amazing.
that's so 2025, baby. It's so pathetic, and I hope it works because that just goes to show how much these guys just care about
Yeah.
nothing.
He should
Yeah, I hope it
also
works.
tell them that he'll boost their Instagram followers, and that would be another motivator.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah, they can all get fresh haircuts.
amazing,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
All right, we'll be back with more either midweek or next week based on how much news there is. As always, thank you for watching and Forza Calcio. Ciao.